Hey everyone, John Raitt here, back with another episode of Design and Invest. Last week we talked about Staging 101, my staging business. This week we'll be talking about vacation rentals 101, I guess you can call it. I have a vacation rental company where I rent on VRBO, HomeAway, Airbnb. How I got started with this is really what I want to talk about this week. Most of my clients are developer clients that I do design work for, and it's sort of segued into this this sector. These developer clients will have, let's say, 4 homes right next to each other that they're gonna, subdivide and create a small lot out of. So they have to tie the lots together. I mean, there's so much planning involved in these. It takes sometimes a year and a half to get these lots all ready to break ground on. So when they buy them, they're usually single family homes that are on there, and they can't just demo them because they have loans on them and there's for whatever reasons. The last thing they want to do is rent them long term and get tenants in there and have to kick the tenants out at some point, pay them cash for keys or whatever the case may be, and also if they board it up, they're going to attract the wrong kind of attention for the neighborhood, where squatters will go there, neighbors will get pissed off because it's boarded up, and people start throwing trash over fences of properties that are boarded up. I mean, the list goes on and on for the reasons what they don't want to do with these properties. So what I sort of stumbled across was offering up an Airbnb on one of these to one of my clients. I'm like, hey, you know what? You have this property. It's perfectly good. Why don't we just put in some furniture and rent it on Airbnb? It's blowing up right now. This was a few years ago that I sort of trickled into this, and they seemed on board with it. So we split the profits 50-50 on it. It needed some work to get it started up, and so they came out of pocket for that, and we got some appliances and made it work. Then we started doing more for other clients as well. And so what I started to do was cover all of the upfront costs, so it's no money out of pocket for my developer clients, and they really dug that. So basically, when a property is ready to fix up, I jump in there, I fix it up, I implement my furniture. I have a full-time manager now that takes care of all the Airbnb for me, and my staging crew takes care of the staging. I have now, I think, 20 properties, give or take a couple. We're always adding a couple new ones to the mix. And come to find out, this also works, the strategy, with clients that have homes that they've had long term and they have no intentions on tearing down. I have one client in Hollywood that I can actually get him 30% more than the standard long-term lease. So that's not every house. I mean, you have to have walkability, you have to have things that are really going for you with the neighborhood, and close to freeways, close to metros, for to beat out long-term leases. But it does happen, I have a development company too, as you may know. I sold my first duplex, ground up new construction duplex in North Hollywood about, 4 months ago, the beginning of this year. For that property, I staged the front unit. I didn't have to because I actually had it under contract and sold before we even finished the construction on the duplex. But I staged it because it was my first property. I have a staging company, so might as well stage it and showcase that as my first development deal. The new owner wanted to keep my furnishings there for a few weeks while she got the units leased. And I asked her, I was like, oh, hey, what are you going to lease these for? And so she said, oh, I could probably get $4,000 for the front one, $4,200 for the back one. And I said, you know what? Let me send her this. And so I went and did my homework to figure out what I can get Airbnb for those units. And I said, you know what, it doesn't hurt to pitch this to her. This is somebody who's buying a duplex that I'm selling. It's just a rental play for her. She's just gonna rent it long term to somebody. So my furniture's already in there. It's been really easy to set it up as an Airbnb. So I put together a proposal, found out that I can get her on average $4,500 to $4,800 a month net to her, not including my fees. And so I, finessed it to where it worked, the pricing, and I sent it to her and showed it to her, and she seemed very interested. She's like, hey, let's try it out. It's no long-term commitment. I think we did like a 4-month commitment on that one just so I can recoup some money for startup costs and things like that. But I didn't have to fix it up. It's brand new construction. My staging was already there. I had to make some tweaks because one of the rooms I staged is an office. That doesn't really, it's not necessary for Airbnbs. It's better to put a bedroom there. So we put the beds in there, and we're consistently getting her more than she could long-term lease. So that's one really creative angle on how to see opportunity in every little thing that you do. I mean, it's kind of a curse of mine. I have a business coach that I pay $200 an hour to keep me in check and make sure I stay on the straight and narrow, because I have too many ideas, you know. But what I am really good at is I'm good at managing people, putting things in place, throwing them down. And you know, of course, you have to have your meat. You know, you have your main dish that you know has now turned out to be for my companies my main dishes. I'm not even gonna get into all my other little things that I'm tasting over here and tasting over here to see if it sticks. And once it gets a little stickiness, then it's a good idea to jump in there and put some investment money into it. But you definitely don't want to throw too much money at a venture that you're unsure about, or something that's not going to immediately make you some money. I am not the kind of person that's going to do that, so I want to make sure that businesses are making me money. So back to the Airbnb business. I currently probably go on 2 to 3 job walks per week. I pass on a lot of them because they're just too bad of shape. Some of these developer clients, you know, really just need to board this up or tear it down. It's just too far gone. But a lot of them are doable. New carpet, paint, you know, a couple $1,000s later, it's ready to rent. You know, and what I do for those clients is I front all the cash, no money out of pocket for them, to make it as easy of a decision as possible for them. And these guys, we're going to tear it down, so they don't even care what they get per month. Just to have a presence there is a big deal for them. So as you may or may not know, one of my biggest, you know, most of my biggest clients are realtors. Realtors are a really key resource of leads for me, and you know, and so I'm always keeping in contact with them. Also, one thing I try to really make perfectly clear to them too is, hey, if you ever have a stale listing that's staged, you know, so sometimes I'll stage a property and it just sits on the market. Maybe the owner wants too much for it, or something's just not right with the property, or for whatever reason it sits on the market, and now these clients are bleeding. You know, they're going to pull the listing from the agent. They're going to remove the staging, you know, make decisions that'll hurt them. So what I do is I offer up Airbnb solutions for them on that, or vacation rentals. I said, hey, while they're waiting and while it's on the market, you're not getting tons of bites. Why don't we, you know, help your clients not bleed? And so I've had quite a few clients said, yeah, you know what? It's a stale listing. It's winter time. It's the worst time to have it on the market. Let's Airbnb it until the hot season comes around. Make a little money in the meantime. The realtor doesn't lose their listing. There's a lot of benefits here for them, and they may even find out that they're making good money and they'll refinance it, you know, swallow up all of the construction loans or whatever they have on it, and keep the property. I mean, that hasn't happened yet, but that is something that could very well happen. Always think outside of the box. Whether you're following me because you're a fellow designer, or you are an entrepreneur, or for whatever reason, always think out of the box. There's opportunity all around us. I mean, I have a problem, I'm always finding opportunity. So what you need to do is you can't be afraid. If you see, ask questions. Extract as much value as you can from every scenario. And by value, I don't mean monetary value. I mean, that sometimes comes along with it as well. But value is everywhere. Value in what someone has to say. You know, it's not about who you know. It's what who you know knows. That's one of my favorite quotes. I don't even know if I said it right, but it means that you can get value from just about anyone. I mean, I was talking to a homeless guy one time, and he was just such a positive guy, and you know, he was telling me stories about, you know, Vietnam and, you know, war stories, and you know, it's always stuck with me, and it's because he was just telling me the truth. You know, he was take little kernels from everything. You know, read business books, read design books, read books that you have no clue. I mean, biographies. I love biographies because you learn stuff about people's histories. You know, let's say you have a passion for politics or something. You know, read a biography on, you know, on Lincoln, Washington. You know, and these. I mean, Lincoln didn't have a fabulous life. He didn't. You know, he had a tough, you know, life and had a tough road. I mean, he was doing stuff that nobody in their right mind would ever do in that period of time. So learn something from these people. You know, like, just because they're dead doesn't mean you can't learn from them. I mean, I'll be long and dead. Some point, and you know, I want my kid to look back at this video and say, "Hey, I learned a lot from my dad." You know, in his videos and in life. You know, hopefully I'm here, but if I'm not, at least I could be immortalized through these words and hopefully touching somebody. I'm in the West Adams district right now. A developer client of mine bought this property not too long ago, just closed on it, and is planning on putting a triplex here. Right now it's a single family home. He's going to be tearing it down and building a triplex to really maximize the value of this space. There's tons of buildings like that going on over here. This is near Culver City. It's very popular, hip place. There's all kinds of new development going in. Cumulus down the street. Very, very, very hip. But this property he's actually going to keep. But in the meantime, that planning process is going to take him probably 4 to 6 months on a plan approval before he's even ready to start constructing. Luckily, the people who owned this house before did a really good job and kept it in really good condition. So what we're going to do for him during that time period is Airbnb it. So this is our new Airbnb listing. It's in really good shape. We don't have to do much to it, like I said. So we're just popping in some new furniture and setting it up. All right, guys. So think out of the box. Feel free to comment, subscribe, like me, engage with me. I am all ears and I am 100% available to talk to you. You can even call me up. Just direct message me and we could have a chat on the phone. Remember, design, invest, repeat.